Vanderbilt's latest transfers add pop to the lineup.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions apply. On today's episode, we explore how Vandy can still make noise in the postseason. Vandy football, especially the offense, racked up in the portal. These two portal additions, Chase Mitchell can be a difference maker on the offensive line, and Micah Bell switching over to offense will add some much-needed explosiveness and even can add to special teams possibly as a returner. So that's a big thing for what Vanderbilt is looking for. I think the word of this whole portal season, and it's starting to kind of blend into basketball, and then we'll probably eventually blend over to baseball too. But versatility seems to be a common trend amongst all of these portal commits. They can do different things, and they're willing to do different things. Mark Byington is doing a lot of that on the basketball side of things, and Clark Lee has set that tone as well on with the offensive side of the ball, just with his transfer portals in football. So Micah Bell is just the latest example of that versatility. He comes over from Notre Dame, highly ranked cornerback, could have probably played corner at a lot of different places, but it seems that he wanted to play offense, and it seems that Vandy wanted him to play offense. And judging by his high school tape, I can see why he would want to play offense. The one word that describes Micah Bell when it comes to offense is explosive. He is very springy. He's very quick. He's very kind of lose you in a phone booth type guy. Very versatile when it comes to his skill set. And that's going to be kind of a key word here is versatile, because, you know, when you look at Micah Bell's game, that's exactly what jumps off the page at you. I mean, he can do a lot of different things, and there's a lot of different ways you can attack the defense with just Micah Bell. And he's adding to a pretty talented room already. You get you have Quincy Skinner and Junior Sherrill as kind of your incumbent stars, I guess you could say stars. Then you get Jeremiah Dillon from the portal, Luke Foungy from the portal. Then you get Micah Bell just kind of adds to that list. So I'm very excited about kind of what he can do with this offense and what he can kind of do in the RPO game as kind of like that third option on the perimeter, what he can do possibly. I think you may have found your jet sweep guy as well. He's kind of somebody that can be if you want to go empty personnel, he's somebody that can play the where the running back would normally go. Just kind of like if you wanted to go that empty type personnel, he can be that guy that can motion in the backfield, possibly play a little bit of running back too, get a couple of carries from an empty set type situation. But a bunch of different things he can do on the offensive side of the ball should really excite Vandy fans, because like when you look at how to build an explosive offense, this is what you need. This is the recipe. You get guys like Micah Bell, right? You get guys like that to be able to do a bunch of different things and hurt you in a bunch of different ways, I think is the key here, because, you know, you have these big tight ends that, you have these big tight ends that can block for you in the screen game. You get a shifty guy that can kind of weasel his way into some openings. You potentially have something there with scoring potential. So I'm really excited about that. You add to the fact that you already got some guys that can stretch the field vertically as well. You gotta be excited about that. And Micah Bell can stretch the field too. Don't get me wrong. Don't get it twisted. But you have Darian Wiley, who I forgot to mention earlier, who can also do a lot of things deep to intermediate. So it just adds to the list of potential targets, potential weapons that you can take advantage of on this offense. And all of this is starting to grow a little bit. You're starting to see the personnel a little bit, and it's all like a big piece. It's all like a big puzzle, right? How do you fit in the puzzle? That's always the question when you look at somebody personnel wise, offense, defense, or special teams. You look at them and say, how do they fit in the puzzle? Okay, where does their piece go in the puzzle? Will it end up being the main piece in the puzzle? Only time will tell that. Will it be a small piece of the puzzle, right? Can it be part of the run game? Can he factor in some ways that you didn't see coming, right? I mean, I don't think anybody saw a highly rated 4-star cornerback coming out of Notre Dame coming over to play offense. I mean, I think it was kind of reported that was going to happen, but I think when he originally hit the portal, I don't think anybody thought this guy's going to come over and play offense. And it's also, he's played defense before, so if you get if you get a rash of injuries over there at the cornerback spot, he can always go over. The defense can always borrow him, and you can go there and throw him in some coverages. But it's exciting, man. And just what he can do there alone is extremely valuable, because everybody needs that type of receiver. Everybody needs that double move guy that can run what I call the whip route, which is an in and back out, right? You get a double move route like that to a guy with space, he can make something happen, right? Stiff arms a guy, now he's off and running, right? He's the type of guy that you're going to throw too short and let him go. He's the type of guy you want to run under routes with on mesh concepts or drive concepts to get him going from one side to the other, especially if teams want to play man against you, which in this league, there might be some teams that say, hey, come on, we're going to play man, and we're going to get up here. We're going to get up in your face and play man coverage, right? You run him on a crossing route from one side to the other. Next thing you know, he's popping open, and there you go. He's going to be a problem. He's somebody that, again, you get a 3-man surface over there and you throw him a screen. That's also very beneficial. Or you motion him from 2x2 over to create a 3x1 look at the snap of the ball. You make him a part of the RPO scheme, and he's off and running. So it's going to be one of those things where I think you can do a lot of different things with him, and you can be extremely versatile. But also watching his high school film, I think you have to look at him in special teams too. Like, you're going to put him on some coverage units probably because of his defensive background. So he's definitely going to be on some kick coverage units, punt coverage units, things like that. So he's definitely going to be covering the field and making plays. But you also have to look at him in the return game. He can be with his skill set, his speed, his quickness, he can be a dangerous return guy, and he can be somebody that with proper space, good blocking, he can be a difference maker. I don't know at the college level just how much of it he can do because it's a totally different animal, especially in the SEC. But he's somebody that I feel like with his skill set, you have to give him a look back there as a punt returner or even kick returner, because he's somebody that can flip field position, right? He's somebody that you kick it to him, and next thing you know, you're in plus territory, and you've got a chance to score and get on the board, especially in games where you need that momentum boost, right? So like you're locked up in a battle with Kentucky, and it's going to come down to like a game like Kentucky is going to come down to like who wins special teams, right? He's going to go down and make a big play on a coverage in coverage. And then of course, then they're going to punt to him and he's going to flip the field, and it's going to be some sort of like 10-point swing because of some plays he makes on special teams. And so that's a phase of the that's a phase of the game that you can't really ignore, that you can't really look past, because if you do, that's what gets you beat. Or if you don't, that can also make the difference in some of these games. And so watch out for him in the special teams role, right? Watch out for him in the return game. That's also another element that I don't think anybody's, well, people may be thinking about, I don't know, but for sure is something you need to think about, because he is, again, I think it's something that is worth looking at. I think it's something that's worth exploring. And so you have to diligence. You have to do your due diligence. You have to look at it, and you have to put out all different possibilities. I mean, Darian Wiley could be somebody that's in the return game as well. I think there's going to be some competition there, but he's somebody that will most definitely factor in a bunch of different ways. And the word that you're going to use to describe Micah Bell before it's all said and done, you're going to use this adjective to describe Micah Bell. It's an adjective that I use all the time. Feel free to use it. You may use it in a different version, a synonym, so to speak. But I'm going to say that he is a Swiss Army knife. Okay, that's going to be the term for Micah Bell. He is the Swiss Army knife of this offense. He can do just about anything you need him to do, and he can do all of those things very effectively. So look forward to that. Also, somebody to look forward to, a very large addition to this offense, figuratively, both literally and figuratively, is Chase Mitchell. He comes into the offensive line, building much needed depth for one, but he's going to lock into a battle for right tackle. We're going to talk about how he can win that battle next. All right, this episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. When you're hiring for your small businesses, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open for the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire. LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make the process easier. They even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process even easier and quicker. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. Did you know that? Now you do. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN? Are you tired of all of that shouting? You have to, so much so you have to turn the volume down on the TV? Well, make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So we mentioned Micah Bell, Swiss Army knife, great addition to this offense, going to be extremely explosive, but I don't think he can necessarily be explosive without a good offensive line, right? I think it all kind of plays together. And the offensive line, I've said before, is the most important position on the field. Or at least on the offense, is the most important part of the offense, because without a good offensive line, I mean, it doesn't matter what else you have. You're not going to be able to get the ball to the playmakers. You're not going to be able to run the ball. You're not going to be able to throw the ball. You're not going to be able to do a whole lot if your offensive line isn't very good. Well, Clark Lee knows that, obviously. Tim Beck knows that, obviously. They've been pursuing Chase Mitchell pretty hard, and I don't think it was any surprise to anybody. He commits and I think immediately enters the battle for the right tackle spot. He's a veteran guy that has a lot of starting experience. He started at Liberty. He started at left tackle at Liberty. Now, he enters into this battle. He's 6'4", 310. He's more, I think his game centers more around run blocking anyway, and I think he knows what the identity of this offense needs and wants to be with what they're bringing in at quarterback at Diego Pavia, Nate Johnson, what they have at running back, and run scheme wise, he's a relationship with Coach Kleenakis as well. So I think he knows kind of where he fits in this identity. He knows that if he has any chance at playing offensive line on the next level, it's not going to be at left tackle. He's not long enough. He's not tall enough. He doesn't have the reach. Really, he doesn't. He can't function as an NFL left tackle. I can pretty well. I don't know. You never know, but I can pretty much say that that's not going to happen. I think you see Chase Mitchell come in and immediately lock into to the right tackle spot. Now, whether he starts or not, I think that's going to be an ongoing battle throughout camp. You're going to find your right tackle and right guard throughout camp. I'm predicting your right guard is going to be Stephen Hubbard, the transfer from UTEP, all-conference transfer from UTEP. That's who I think is going to be in that spot. Gage Pitchford, I think, barring any sort of setback from injury, should be your left guard. I think you have a set of pretty good starting guards. Steven Lasoya coming in with a whole lot of starting experience, I think has to slot in at center. He has that type of experience. I think Hubbard is probably better than he is at the guard spot. Probably a little bit bigger, and can move well enough to where his size doesn't matter. And Lasoya does have center experience anyway, so he slots in theoretically there. And then, of course, Gunnar Hansen comes in as the incumbent left tackle. So barring any sort of ability collapse, which I don't foresee that, but barring something crazy, I think Gunnar Hansen's going to be your starting left tackle. So Chase Mitchell, going back to Chase Mitchell, he's a stellar run blocker. He comes downhill very, very well. When you run power, he's the guy you want crashing down. Now, this technique is called the Gallup technique, and I'm not going to bore you with the details of the Gallup technique because it's not a coach's clinic on that. But what you need to know about the Gallup technique is that you have 310 pounds coming downhill at an angle to just absolutely road grate a defensive lineman that's engaged with your guard. It's kind of like it's not meant to be like a double team on that guy. It's meant to just crash into that guy and climb up to the next level and get and swallow up a linebacker. It's meant to help your guard block down because you're blocking down with both of those guys, and you're trying to create a lane for the pulling guard and also the guy that's coming to kick out the defensive end. So you want to create angles for all that stuff, and you want to collapse everything down as far as you can get it. And if there's an opportunity for that, Chase Mitchell's somebody that you don't want galloping into you, right? He's somebody that can also come off and drive you. And he's good. He's good in pass protection. I mean, I'm not saying he's not bad. He started at left tackle for Liberty, and he's got plenty of left tackle starting experience as well. If you have any sort of injuries, you can flip him over there and won't have any sort of issues there. But he competes with Cade. He competes with McConnell over there at that tackle spot. I think you see some. You're going to see a real good competition there. I'm actually super stoked about what this battle brings here. I think you're going to see a Cade McConnell versus Chase Mitchell battle going into camp. That's going to be one of the storylines of fall camp, training camp, is who wins that left tackle job or not the right tackle job. And then the guy that doesn't win, it's going to be kind of the swing man. Like Gunnar Hansen needs a break. Mitchell can slide over left tackle, McConnell can jump in at right, or vice versa, or whatever the case may be. You have three really good tackles there that can sub in for each other, and then you have some high school guys coming in to also develop there behind these positions, and you're just going to continue to build through the portal, through recruiting and things like that. And I think you've got enough to have a good, solid rotation throughout the season, something to get you through the season successfully as you develop that position. But Chase Mitchell coming over with that starting experience, with that experience playing for Chris Kleenakis is also very key, because he kind of adds that translation. He kind of can be that liaison between the guys and Coach Kleenakis, who, if guys are starting to not understand what he's talking about or his coaching style or whatever these guys need to know about Coach Kleenakis that they don't already know, he can kind of be that buffer a little bit, because he's played with him. He's played under him before. And so that's also valuable. Like, that also brings a little bit of credibility to Coach Kleenakis. That brings kind of like, okay, well, this guy came over after, being a guaranteed starter at Liberty. He comes over now to possibly play a new, well, not really a new position, but possibly switch from left to right tackle and not be guaranteed to start, because Cade McConnell is also a pretty solid prospect from a Big Ten program. And so you got that going for him. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch, but this is also a big playmaker here, because it helps bring veteran leadership to your offensive line. It helps your element in the run game, which is what your identity is. And so this is going to be very, very, very good. So speaking of tone setters, the Vandyboys stopped the bleeding on Sunday. Will that be enough? They can still make noise in the postseason. They just got to get creative. We'll talk about all that next. It is winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, with playoffs in full swing, and FanDuel's giving you a shot to bring home the big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. I don't think you guys heard me right. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and much, much more with only winning a $5 bet. Interesting. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. All right, welcome back. Segment 3. We're wrapping this thing up, man. Thank you for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. Make sure you make Locked On SEC your next listen each and every day. Chris Gordy's doing a great job over there. Make sure, if you want to be the most educated SEC fan in the country, make sure you check out the family of SEC content that we have on this channel. Locked On Bulldogs, Locked On Ole Miss with Stephen Willis. That's my guy. Locked On Auburn with my man Zach Blackerby. Locked On LSU. Locked On Texas. Locked On Kentucky. Locked On... There's a lot of them. Locked On Missouri. Locked On... the only one that doesn't have one is Mississippi State. So if you know any Mississippi State people, send them our way. We need a show. We need to round out the conference here. But so baseball, okay, been struggling a little bit lately. They've up until Sunday, they've lost, 8 conference games in a row. Also an 8-game losing streak against Tennessee. So not a lot of things going in Vandy's favor as far as baseball's going. Some things have been kind of sliding, especially at the plate. The lack of power is astounding, and I think that's something that I guarantee you Tim Corbin has written. I think he's probably written note after note after note after every game. He's probably got game notes. Need more power. Need more power. Need more power. He has to. Okay. I know he probably sees it. I know we all see it. All right. But the fact of the matter is there's not a whole lot we can do about it right now. So what we can do is try to compensate for the power, right? So the game on Sunday was good because they were able to, it was good for Vandy. And here's why. And this is how this is the type of thing that they're going to need when it comes time for playoffs, because they're not going to score runs. And when it comes time for postseason baseball, teams that score a lot of runs but don't have great pitching, those are the teams that usually end up leaving early, because at a certain point in postseason baseball, at any level, major leagues and on down to high school, at some point, elite pitching takes over. And if you don't have it, you're going to struggle, because good offenses with elite pitching can make you pay. Great offenses, elite offenses with mediocre pitching can't, right? Look at the Yankees year in and year out. Why haven't they, they have Aaron Judge, they have a ton of pop in their lineup. Why can't they win the World Series? It comes down to pitching, right? Why did the Phillies win their most recent World Series title? They got elite pitching performances to add to some pop from their lineup, from Bryce Harper and crew, right? He did it when he was in Washington as well. The Astros had really good pitching performances, but they scored runs and they scored runs when they needed to score runs. But their pitching is really kind of what made the difference for them in the postseason. It's why the Braves lost, because they all of a sudden couldn't pitch. They had such good pitching, and it just kind of fell apart. And, the Braves, it was a combination of when they pitched well, they couldn't hit. And when they hit well, they couldn't pitch. So they couldn't quite marry the two together. And that's also a factor as well. So I say that to say that on Sunday, something happened, something emerged for Vanderbilt that should give you hope. And that's J.D. Thompson. Okay? That's J.D. Thompson. Not only did his 6 innings of scoreless 2-hit baseball factor in just on the scoreboard, I think it was more of an attitude type thing. And I think it was more of he just brought some type of swag to this team that they haven't seen in a minute, right? He was coming after Tennessee. He was being aggressive, man. He wasn't backing down. He was letting you know about it. He was getting himself into situations and right back out of them. But he was coming after these guys, right? And those guys couldn't hit him. They knew they couldn't hit him. And he reminded them that they couldn't hit him. And so that's the kind of thing you need from these pitchers, right? I think these pitchers are trying to pitch. They're trying to pitch so that they can win, right? And I think instead of just kind of going out and grabbing the game by the, these pitchers are going out there trying to pitch well enough to win and not lose. And so when you look at these performances, you have to understand, if you're going to win in the postseason, you have to have swag. Every team has pitching swag. Every team has just swag in general. And so that elevates everything, right? Vandy was not losing that game. Okay. They weren't losing that game based on how he was pitching and how he was feeling, right? Everyone stepped up, and Espinal stepped up. Jonathan Vastine stepped up. RJ Austin stepped up. And when he came after their best hitters, it just seemed like something sparked through the team, and they just weren't going to lose that game. And they hunkered down and they got people out. And that's what it's all about. And they got timely hits, things like that. And so that's the thing that's going to help win. It's the attitude that came with J.D. Thompson's outing. It's not J.D. Thompson's outing stat-wise. Sure, striking out, a bunch of batters, not giving up any runs in 6 innings, and having guys come in and continue that. Yeah, that helps. But just the attitude behind it is very, very key. And so that's what they need. That's exactly what they need. So, but that's gonna do it for us here. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Hopefully, if you liked what you saw, if you like what you heard, make sure you follow us at Locked On Vandy on all social media platforms. At Coach Burton 36 is my personal X account. At Coach Corey Burton on Instagram. Make sure you follow all those accounts, and make sure you follow the show. Subscribe, tell a friend, and spread the word. And make sure we make this bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So with that, I am Corey Burton. This is the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We thank you for listening. We'll see you back here tomorrow, and we're going to have a great week here on the Locked On Vandy podcast. But until then, we'll see you later. We'll see you tomorrow. Anchor down. Peace.